Welcome to College Coffee Talk with your hosts, Pearl and Andy Lockwood. She's Pearl.
Hi, everybody. Good morning.
I am Andy Lockwood, and this is a show about college news you can use, getting into college, paying for college, anything at all college related. Welcome to the show. If you are watching us live, we do this every Monday on our Facebook page. And if you're watching or listening in distant replay somewhere on our podcast or something, welcome also. And if you have any questions at all, especially live, this is the best opportunity to lob them into us and not get charged for some free answers. So, a lot going on today, Pearl.
Yep. So, a lot going on today.
Yeah. So we've got, of course, what Pearl's referring to is the BCS College Championship tonight, Ohio State versus Notre Dame. That's huge. Come on.
Huge.
It's an expanded playoff format. That's exciting. I'll reveal my picks later in the show just to keep you dangling there. And then, of course, it's Martin Luther King Day, so let's acknowledge the Reverend Dr. King. And then we've got the inauguration, of course. But today's topic is about how my feisty little partner here got into I guess it wasn't a direct, it was an indirect tiff with a school counselor at one of New York City's most elite and pricey private high schools. And I thought it would be instructive to discuss that because there's some sort of themes that came up in this particular conflict that we see repeated frequently, probably every year with a handful of clients. So that's what I wanted to talk about. But before we start, let's do our simultaneous sip of whatever you are drinking, your coffee. 1, 2, 3. Good morning.
Cheers.
Cheers. Happy whatever you're celebrating today. Could just be Happy Monday. Doesn't have to be anything political.
Or it can be.
It can be, but it doesn't have to be. So.
But it can be.
So what do you say?
I'm saying it's at your option because that is so wonderful about our country, free and the brave America that we live in.
Okay. No censorship from Pearl here. So say hi in the chat. Let us know that we are coming in loud and clear. Good morning to Jen Herman. Good morning to David. Good morning to a few other people who we see popping in here. And let's just get right into it. So I'll try to frame this and then I'll let you just give us the blow-by-blow, obviously, without revealing any client confidential information.
Changing names to protect the innocent.
Yeah, we don't even need to use names. So we had a kid who he was a recruited athlete too, which doesn't necessarily really matter for this, but it's just an interesting angle. Mm-hmm. And he was being sort of recruited by an Ivy League school, but they couldn't necessarily guarantee him anything. So the issue was, should he apply early decision to that top choice school where he wasn't on the list as a recruited athlete, or should he take the safer route and go to a Division III NESCAC little Ivy college where the coach did recruit him and offer him a spot? So I guess where the story really starts is he decided to go ED to the Division III school.
To the sure thing.
Right. Which I thought was a great decision.
It's a great school. Right.
Yeah, it's an
Ivy caliber school.
As a former NESCAC guy myself, bench warmer, I believe that he made a great choice. And so he goes early decision there. But he still applied to several other schools. He was in the process of applying to several other schools, mm-hmm. and he was still in communication with the Ivy League school.
Right, and okay. His grades and scores, we'll touch on that. I mean, grades and scores are certainly in the Ivy neighborhood as well, and he is a standout athlete and being specifically recruited for that as well. So he's a smart kid, full package, the whole thing.
Yep.
So he had applied early decision to the sure thing.
Yeah.
And the Ivy League school is still showing a lot of demonstrated interest in him, so much so that the head coach actually reached out to him recently and was like, so, have you gotten everything in? on your application.
Right. So I don't even think, and this is just interesting, but this doesn't really matter for the purposes of this discussion,
No.
because this scenario could happen even if you're not a recruited athlete.
True. That's absolutely true. Okay. So anyway, of course, that caused this client to feel a little conflicted, like, uh-oh, that was what I really wanted. What can I do? What should I do? I said, well,
this is the mom.
The mom.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm speaking to the mom. And I said, well, he's already applied there? Yes, he's already applied to the Ivy League school. Well, so what's the issue? Well, my school told me they refuse to send my son's transcript, his teacher recommendations, and anything and everything that would have to come from the school, the guidance counselor, etc., to complete the application for admission. So what? What do you mean you're not sending it? No, we're not going to send it unless you withdraw your application from the early decision school. I said, oh, okay. Well,
because they were intimidating her into believing that it was binding,
right,
at the Division III.
Binding under all cases. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah,
because for those of you who are out there saying, wait a minute, I have a kid who applied early decision. I saw that same contract. I had to check the box and affirm to that as well. And that's all true. However, the school, this client, was very quiet about a little footnote that changes all of this. Specifically, if you do not like the financial package that the school that you have applied early decision to, subjectively, meaning it just doesn't work for my family. Yeah, as simple as that. No, you don't not need to start showing bank statements and showing your loss of income. And this is what's happening. And we really, no. If your family evaluates this is not a good financial package and you evaluate this is not what you want, you, as the early decision candidate of a binding commitment, have the financial out. Period. End of story.
So let me just jump in. So if you actually read the Common Application Early Decision Agreement, which your minor child, it's still going to ring. It's still going to ring if you put it below the table. At least it's not, like 2 a.m. when that happens all the time. So if you're notwithstanding the fact that your minor can't sign a contract because they lack the legal capacity to sign that, or no one can force you to go to a certain college and pay a certain price. There's specific language in that early decision agreement that says words to the effect of you're applying early decision. If you get in, you are going to accept and withdraw your other applications, something like immediately or promptly, unless the financial aid offer doesn't make it does not make it possible for you to go, or it's not adequate, or something that sounds like a serious word, but it's not defined. There's no objective. What Pearl was alluding to is there's no objective standard as to what constitutes makes it possible for you to attend or is adequate or something like that, because you and you alone, not the guidance counselor,
right,
not the college, not the guy at the deli down the street, you alone are the sole judge and jury as to whether that financial aid offer is adequate. Right. So just to back up here, at that point when you had this discussion with the mom,
right, she was uncomfortable about that.
Well, she hadn't applied for aid.
That's right.
At all.
That's right.
So what was your advice?
My advice was, do not pass go. You need to apply for financial aid right now to all of your schools so that you have this. But this is the only legitimate ethical way that you can get out of the binding early decision commitment. So if you want to preserve that right, you need to apply for financial aid. And she was at first, she is a person who has money, but
But they have other circumstances. Which doesn't really matter for this discussion. But
no, it doesn't.
But she never thought she would qualify.
Right.
But Pearl pointed out to her that we might be able to appeal it.
Right.
But let's just set that aside.
Okay, fine.
So sorry to keep interrupting.
No.
So counselors are so concerned with
Right.
how they
Just
stand,
the-
how the school stands
Right.
with that particular college that the kid went ED to, because they think that if someone exercises that right, which again is not buried in the fine print, it's actually written right there in plain English in a very short paragraph. If they think that if someone gets out of that agreement, then somehow it's going to taint future crops of kids who apply to that particular college.
Yeah.
Which, first of all, isn't true. But even if it were true, so what? I mean, it's not your client's obligation.
Right.
Your client's obligation is to her own family,
and not to the agenda of the school.
So they try to intimidate a lot of families.
But obviously,
this is why I'm getting so worked up here, and I'm aware that I keep interrupting you, but the shoe's on the other foot. No, sorry. So they try to intimidate families into, and this is private high school, probably more so private high schools, but private high school and public high school guidance counselors and school counselors alike. That's the last thing they want you to do. So they don't tell it. So what I was saying about this whispering before was that they are very reluctant to inform you that you have the ability to get out. They don't want that to ever happen. But that's their agenda. You have your own agenda.
Exactly. And honestly, I don't mean to what it feels like is there's this very deliberate intimidation that goes on in these private schools where they are forcing their agenda, and that they'll go to any lengths. This parent literally felt like, they know I paid last year, but they know I can afford it. They know where I live.
Right.
Take it easy. It's like, what?
Yeah, take it easy. It's you're not Elon Musk.
Exactly, that too. And
not all.
And actually, when we really,
is she an oligarch? Your friend, your client?
She is not yet an oligarch, not to my knowledge. The other thing is, let's say the private high school she goes to is $60,000 a year. That's not what a year of Ivy League or this NESCAC, very impressive school, they cost. Well, I can tell you, Cornell costs for the 25-26 school year $93,000. That's not 60. That's not 60. That's a very different number than 60. So in any case,
similar number, because you got room and board at Cornell, whereas when the kid lives at home, they're eating and sleeping.
Okay, but
just to be economic about it.
Fine, wonderful. Anyway, so there is a lot of that intimidation. This pair, it took considerable discussion and convincing before she was even comfortable. She was so focused on the school judging her for even saying the word financial aid.
Yeah. Well, she felt guilty too. I think.
She felt guilty. And
other people deserve it more.
Separately, they have some circumstances that are completely legitimate with respect to what affects them paying for college going forward. Their ability to. So in any case.
But it doesn't take away from anyone else. Like, if you get recruited to an Ivy or a little Ivy or some of these other schools, they're making deals. You're not taking money away from another family.
No.
They're making a value judgment that we want this person, they qualify for this. Maybe we can fudge numbers a little bit and qualify them for this plus this.
Right.
But it's not taking anything away.
No, it isn't. And you are just preserving your own rights and not being steamrolled off of these bureaucratic institutions like the private high schools. Anyways.
Well, they're protecting their own interests. I keep coming back to that, but you need to do the same thing with yours. And I would say for most of the high school career, the interests are aligned, but it's like a Venn diagram. They don't, there's a section where they don't align.
Right.
And you just have to you have to be aware that your interests may diverge, and you shouldn't just blindly trust or take the word without thinking critically from your school counselor about how this all works, because I don't think anyone reads the Common Application Early Decision Agreement before they decide whether to go early decision. So they've got this thing that's been built up for months or maybe even a year or longer that it's binding.
Right.
But it's not. It is literally not binding.
Yeah.
And you're not going to hear that from anyone else, by the way.
Right. I explained that FAFSA police, the CSS police, are not part of ICE, so there was nothing to worry about.
Well, there was definitely nothing to worry about. Last administration, if they were part of ICE.
That was
Okay.
That's my point.
Oh, got it. It was lost on me. Yeah.
Anywho, so thankfully, this client went ahead and applied for financial aid across the board. She was, of all this whole process, and even the emotional highs and lows of being recruited at this school and that school and whatever, communicating this to a guidance counselor at her school, who she is probably a year from now and thereafter not going to have a whole lot to do with ever again, worried about communicating the fact, well, I applied for financial aid. Can you please send my kids stuff now? They're holding it hostage, literally. They're holding, because that will not be a complete application, obviously, without a transcript and teacher recommendations. So it's kind of dirty business.
It's
pretty icky.
Yeah. Just imagine if you were paying $60,000 a year and asked the guidance counselor to do their job.
Send your stuff.
And they said, no, I'm not going to do my job.
Right.
That would be like a prosecutor in. Okay.
Yes.
No, never mind. So anyway, I think we covered that. And if you have any questions at all, please bring that in to the comments here. If you're with us live on our Facebook feed or wherever else you're watching or listening to this.
I will report back when we know how this winds up, for sure.
Yeah, I think he's going to end up getting into the IB and going there.
I think so.
And probably paying full price. But they were prepared to do that anyway. I guess.
But you know what? Let's just face it. If we're really going to, again, the subjective test here, if you're comparing, is it worth, okay, I'll put it this way. Is it worth paying $93,000 for school X, which has this level of whatever, and now you have the same price you're looking at, and you value that. You're saying the value is here and not here. That arguably is a financial subjective choice. You're choosing something of value. Like, we can have two different homes and they can cost the same thing. One could be a mansion and one could be a little nothing. There's a difference of value, even though it's the same price, right? Okay. Anywho, it's a subjective test. It's my point.
Sure as shooting is. All right. Well, I think if there aren't any questions, I see we've got about 20 people with us right now. Feel free to consider this last call. I just want to maybe cover something real quick that we did last night. We did a webinar last night, which I'm going to send around to everyone on our email list. I guess I'll post the link here too. That was an SAT/ACT town hall where our head tutor Marissa covered some of the upcoming changes that are due for the ACT. I think it might be April. Don't quote me. Where we're going to be in this sort of weird, surreal type of environment, because you'll have the opportunity to take a paper ACT or a digital before they fully transition into digital. The SAT is not fully digital, and it's shorter. And the ACT is replying in kind by going digital and shortening their tests. But in terms of figuring out whether or not to take the paper ACT or the paper or the digital ACT, Marissa's advice was very clear. Do not sign up for the digital ACT because there's too much unknown. There aren't enough practice materials. Stick with the paper one for now. Let them sort it out. But there's some big changes. Like this, the science section is going to be optional now somehow, which I don't really know what that means, because I think, let's say you're taking the ACT, but you want to major in engineering. Is the science section really optional for you? Mm-hmm. I don't think so. I think most colleges are going to want that.
I think we need scientists.
Okay. Pearl Lockwood on science. Follow the science, Pearl. Pardon me. Follow the science.
Oh, is that cute?
Thank you.
I think that's already happened.
Came up with that myself on the fly. Mm. So that's it for today. Please remember, when it comes to early decision or anything else, you are in charge, not your school counselor, whether you attend an elite private high school or a public high school, any type of, if you're homeschooled, any type of high school. make sure you understand that you're the chief executive officer of what happens. Just because a guidance counselor or a principal or an assistant principal or someone else might be leaning on you one way or not cooperating somehow. I had that situation.
There's a question of
this
a
weekend.
fiduciary duty there too, just saying.
Well, I don't think they're technically fiduciaries, but that doesn't mean that they should get in the way of your student's life.
And for those of you who have younger kids who are looking into these Ivy League schools, it would be a really good idea to question their college practices. I know that there are other schools that limit how many schools you can apply to altogether.
Right.
You're only allowed to apply to 10. I know the school that does that offhand.
Regis?
Yes.
Yeah, in New York City.
That's it. No, but I have an 11th. Too bad you shouldn't have gone to this high school.
Yeah.
I
think generally you can talk them out of that one. We've had clients come back to us and say, "Wait, I didn't know this was the case."
Like they're doing
at the last minute.
favor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And 10 may seem like a lot, but it's really not with today's crazy admissions rates, the acceptance rates, and then all the financial aid offers that are all over the place. It helps to have offers to play off against each other.
Hamstrings these days.
Yeah. So that's a topic for another day.
For a different day.
But bottom line, you're in charge, not your counselor. Pearl?
Agreed.
Okay. Have a great week. We're going to be in Florida. So we are not going to, are we going to Mar-a-Lago, or are you having a sit down just to get over are you another oligarch going down to
that's me.
Mar-a-Lago?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Well, we may or may not be at Mar-a-Lago, but we will be in Florida next week. So there's no show. So have a great week. Have a great following week. And we'll see you when we come back.
Bye.